Hi everybody, it's Kim Hughes, and today we are going to be talking about your newsletter, whether it's a email newsletter or a print newsletter. So in today's world, it's really, which one do you do? It just depends on you and your market. I know that a lot of people don't want to receive a newsletter in the mail because they, want to save a tree. So you've got to keep in mind who is your audience. That's number one. And if they are going to appreciate you doing your newsletter that is a printable newsletter, and if it is, you've got to sit down and budget for it. You've got to factor in the printing, the paper, the ink, the time to prepare the newsletter for mailing, and then are you going to handwrite it? The address, are you going to put it on a label and put the labels on the newsletter, and then of course your postage. So if you're sending a large newsletter, a newsletter to a large audience, then you will want to talk to your post office about bulk. I personally think you should just do first class postage. To me, it's just more personal that way. So then on the email side, if you decide to do that, you may have an email newsletter that's generic, that's offered by your franchise, or an email system that offers you a real estate newsletter. These are totally options, and if you don't do anything else, at least do that. But what I would like to see you do is a customized newsletter. And when you do a customized newsletter, you can put in it anything you want. Now, when I say this, I want to be clear that I'm talking about the information we're giving you is for either or the direct newsletter or an email newsletter. So several factors in for an email newsletter is, how are you going to send it out? Are you going to use, send it as an attachment? Don't do that. If you are going to purchase a third-party program, something like Constant Contact, MailChimp, Top Producer has newsletters. Some of your CRMs will have newsletters that you can customize and send them out. So you have a lot of options. So you need to explore those options and keep in mind your budget for each way you want to do this. So you may just say, I'm going to send out an email newsletter every month, but I will only send a direct newsletter to a specific neighborhood or maybe to just my past clients quarterly, once a year, something like that. It could be maybe the end of the year newsletter or the beginning of the year or the middle of the year. There's no right or wrong to it. It's just do something, That's the way I kind of look at it, right? So some of the things that you want to make sure you put in the newsletter is, this is once you have your template branded and all that done. Then what I want you to think about is your strategy. So every month you should have the same consistency. People like that. They like the consistency. They like the timeline. So whether you mail it or email it, make sure you do it at the same time every month within a day or two. You really want to try to stick with a certain day of the week. So, maybe to say Thursday. Every Thursday, my newsletter goes out to my database. So when you are looking for what to put into the newsletter, I would put in an article for buying. People in today's market need to be educated on how to buy a home today. They need to know that they need to check their credit. They need to know they need to be pre-qualified. They need to know what area, all the things that we know they should know. But this could be a way that you attract your buyers to contact you, because you are now going to be giving them the information they need that they can put into buying a home. So, it's like pre-buying. You got to do all this stuff before we can actually go look at property. So these could be articles for the buyer. Then the same thing for the seller is you want to make sure that, your seller has, the information they need so that they can make a decision on what's best for them in selling their home. They need to understand they need to have their yard, cleaned up. They've got to clean out their garage. They've got to clean out their attic. They need to keep their house in showcase condition. There's just all kinds of information that you could offer them on how to prepare to sell their home as well as adding your monthly market stats. This is from your MLS, so you should just be able to log into the MLS, pull that PDF or however they offer it, and then there's this whole strategy on that. But basically, make sure you have your market stats in your newsletter. Then some of the other things that we talked about is, always put your properties, maybe do a featured property of the month, or if you have multiple listings, you have a link to your website so that they can just kind of scroll down, or you can put little thumbnails in your newsletter and then a link. There's just all kinds of ways you can do that. And then always put in a couple of testimonials. You don't want to put them all together. So let's say you do an article for a buyer, and then you do a testimonial, and then you do an article for a seller. Then, I wouldn't use more than two, and I wouldn't use them lengthy, maybe a couple of sentences or something like that, and maybe a link to the testimonial page on your website so they can read more. Your monthly market stats, I've already mentioned that. The other thing is community events. What's going on in your market that you could talk about? Is there a concert, a festival? With it being spring, there's got to be a lot of stuff going on. Kite day at the park. What's going on in your community that you can put out there and promote? And it could be maybe 2 or 3 things. So try something like that. Look at what's going to be good for your market and talk about the community events that are going on. Some other things that you could do is, if you're needing to capture information on your clients, your past clients, you could do something like, send me your birthday and you'll go into a drawing for a $15 gift card to Starbucks, something like that. So you can use this newsletter to capture more information about your clients. It's very important that you have all the information that you can get so that you can service them better and build a relationship with them. So what I don't want you to do is to think that if you send out a newsletter and you don't customize it, you're not going to get a huge response, right? But even though it's a generic newsletter and you're not doing one that's customized, at least do that. But have a goal to add that to, your wish list of having a monthly email newsletter or sending out a direct mail newsletter, something that keeps you in touch with your past clients. You might be creative and, sorry, my dog might get creative and maybe target a farm area, a new neighborhood or something like that. So, get creative with it. And if you need any more tips, just let me know. We have a lot of them. And if you need some, referrals to some programs, like I said, check with your CRM, see if they offer one. And if they do, look at it to see if you can customize it. And if you can, great. But if not, look at Constant Contact, MailChimp. Some of those are really good ones. And hope this was good. And I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, let me know. If you have any tips to offer, let me know that as well. And we will talk to you soon. Thanks. Bye.